how do you define engagement with your brand, and what are you doing to sort of cultivate that?
I think from our perspective in Piaggio, traditionally we're a company that in the past didn't market. So we had a following of clients who would line up to buy our planes, and then suddenly the aviation market changed. And how close a relationship did we have with our clients? Not very close, and consequently not with our prospects. So it's a case of really, we've had to spend the last 2 or 3 years, especially in the very difficult times that have occurred in the industry, finding out who our prospects are in far more detail, finding out lots more about our existing clients and how to engage them, how to court them, how to understand what's important to them. And that's been a lot of our activity. So doing a lot of groundwork that candidly we should have done a long time ago, but didn't necessarily have the need to, because we had this sort of wonderful little niche scenario where people say, yep, okay, I'll line up there. Unfortunately, times change.
Sure. So, I mean, there's some great lessons there for all marketers, really. I mean, arguably, you could sort of sit with current practices and never really get beyond, you know, and really never evolve to the next phase. I mean, you're having to basically start marketing. You had to start marketing from scratch, essentially.
Sure, and not just in the courting of the customers, but in the way the company's presented, in the way we advertise. We never really advertised
or
before.
Defining the brand.
Sure, exactly. Sure. So what did a Piaggio Aero aircraft consist of? Well, if we look at some of our past very rare adverts or comments, there'd be this huge list of brand values, and so there'd be a picture of a plane and then a list of all the brand values. And by the time you got to about line 7, 8, or 9, or 12, or whatever, you think, God, it's just such a mix. So we clearly went and took everything and stripped everything back, and we decided we were going to focus on 4 core values of the product. So provide a clean, clear message to prospects, to customers, and to let them understand what we were about. So we went for speed, because our aircraft is very, very fast. We went for operating costs, because we're a twin turboprop aircraft that operates at the speed of a mid-sized jet, but we operate 40% cheaper because we use far less fuel. We have a huge cabin the size of a much bigger aircraft, 2-3 times the price of ours. And the fourth one was serenity, very unusual, but all of our cabin, there's no impedance into it. Our engines point backwards, so if we were at 41,000 feet having this chat now, we'd be talking in this sort of volume. We wouldn't be mutually yelling at each other and taking it in turns.
So how much did surveys and research and consumer insights really inform that, versus how much did you make decisions based on what you know about the market and what you know about your company and your brand to say, this is what we need to stand for?
I think the first thing we needed to be really brave about was to say, you know something, we don't maybe know as much as we think we do. And so the next thing was to go out and find out what we didn't know and what we should know. And the best place to do that was to go to people who were actually looking to buy planes, who had planes, and to understand what we were missing. And then to understand the message we wanted to give. Is that the right thing? Would that make you look at our aircraft? If we told you we could save you 40% on what you're thinking about paying for an aircraft to operate it, would that interest you? Absolutely. So that's where we went. We really did it very, very directly.
What methods are you using for engaging with existing and prospective customers at this point?
For us as a company, we're a small company, so we have very, very limited resources. So we don't enjoy necessarily the resources of, let's take Cessna or Embraer or some of the other larger companies with big parents backing them, or with some governments backing support or whatever. For us, we have to do it all ourselves. So we have to be very frugal and very careful how we do it. And so a lot of it we use is direct. A lot of it is direct interaction all the way through. With people also in the industry, we tend to do also a lot of media activity, because for us we'd rather talk to press, tell them our story, and gain coverage, and we're very successful in that. We gain a huge amount of coverage around the world because our aircraft looks different. People think it looks a bit quirky. People say sometimes it looks a bit like a catfish. Other people, because it's got a little front wing here like whiskers, or it's very, very elegant. So there's an attraction, there's a story there, and so we tend to use a lot of media interaction, putting media on the plane, getting them inside the plane to understand it, and then seeing the stories that come out as a result of that and building on those stories.
Yep.
So limited budget, maximizing every opportunity we can in order to get visibility. And around the world each year we'll probably do about 26, 28 different events, air shows, activities. And those are prime areas for us to be, but also I want to take the brand out of just the air show arena, more into the luxury goods arena. So we can't go and park an aeroplane in the car park, but we can actually provide a lot of stuff through the mail, a lot of involvement, invitations, bringing people to the plane itself so they can get to feel and touch it. And we generally find once they feel, touch and smell some of the beautiful leather interior and things, then we find they actually have a greater interest.
A one-word theme that you take from today, something that's really resonated as far as a concept that you're going to take back and then try to employ.
I think my biggest takeaway would be involvement. I think they also have the same takeaways as I do.
Even though you're such vastly different companies.
Oh, of course. But I mean, one of the sessions today, as I mentioned, the session for me with Dunhill, Target and LG. I mean, with the only possible tie-up being maybe Target by LG products. But the other thing, there was very little in common with the brands, and yet there was a distinct linkage between what they wanted to do and the goals they wanted to achieve. So it's that unusual mixture, almost like a potpourri of different brands, different skills, different companies, and it's all in one room and you can sit and draw from it. Someone categorized marketing officers as we can no longer sit back and watch it happen in one of the sessions today and have people do it. I think you have to be totally involved at all levels to understand what's going on there in order to direct it, in order to make it happen. If you need to have your team linked. To me, there are no job titles in this business at all. You have good teams working for you. Everybody contributes. Everybody needs to work as a team. Everybody then should enjoy the results.